Can you guess what we're going to talk about? All right, let's do this. Ranma. Can we just talk about that opening sequence? Like, seriously, what a nightmare. You're just relaxing in your bathhouse and you're just like, yes, this is so good. It feels great. So snuggly. And then the waters start to bubble and you're like, oh no, what's up? And then it's a giant Kuno coming for you. I don't blame him at all for having that nightmare. That's a no. That's a no for me. That's a no. The theme song rolls, and then you see Ranma and Akane running through the schoolyard. She has defeated all the guys, and they're flying in the background behind her. Really cute shot. And they're running to get there on time. And then it shoots to Nabiki and Kuno, where Kuno puts a plushie on Nabiki's desk, and he says, basically, present. And she's like, no, and like throws it. And he was like, no, not for you, for pigtailed girl, meaning Ranma female. He still has not clued in that this is one person, but Kuno and his delusions, Kuno, right? So Nabiki sees an opportunity. In the original anime, Nabiki was all about her camera. She always carried a camera around, and me and a few other people, there was a commenter who mentioned on one of my videos that it was something that hasn't been brought up yet. It's kind of like the creepiness of her personality, like the money-driven kind of part. And it turns out, it's in this one too, she pulls out for Kuno a whole bunch of photos of Ranma female in like sneaky photo positions. So like sleeping, not necessarily completely clothed in certain instances, or like what would you call that? True to life shots, or like when someone takes photos of you and you don't know. It's the way I'm saying it sounds super creepy, but there's actually a term for it. I was never a photography student. I studied fine arts and some other things, so that's not what I know. So anyhow, I'll have to think about it, and it'll pop into my mind when it doesn't matter. Anyhow, so Kuno's like, I want to buy them. And she gives a price, of course, because that was the whole point. And then he buys a whole bunch of them. And then he's talking to Nabiki some more. And it turns out Nabiki also has ones of Akane, and she sells those too. And basically she's like surprised that he's so into pigtailed girl, because that kind of implies he's off of Akane. And they show these really cute shots of Akane in a way that Ranma could never, or doesn't see her as, like sweet and whatnot, with the flowers and the whole bit. You know how they do it in the show. And anyhow, so then Kuno basically says that, oh, it's not about picking. Like, if I could, I'd have them both. And it's just like, Kuno, what world do you live in? Like, it's not gonna happen. So what ends up happening is Nabiki goes over to Ranma and says that Kuno wants to meet her, or him rather, in a particular location. And then Ranma's like, okay. So he goes to what appears to be the outside of the building at the school, and Kuno's waiting with the plush, right? The gift for Pigtail Girl. And Kuno basically tells Ranma that Nabiki said that the quickest way to convey this gift to the pigtailed girl is to give it to Ranma. He's so dense, he doesn't get it, but it gets worse. So basically what happens is he says to Kuno, look, just get over her. You're never going to see her again. And he like walks away. So he walks away. Kuno's all mad and like sad and like horrified and all the mix. And then Ranma turns the corner, and students on a higher level dump water on him mistakenly. So you're like, oh no, what's going to happen? So Kuno turns the corner, and Ranma's not there. So you're like, oh, Ranma's cool. It'll be fine. And then he's so angry about Ranma walking away and saying that he'll never see Pigtailed Girl again, he takes his sword and hits the tree next to him. In hitting the tree, he chops it in half, and it falls over, and then lo and behold, Ranma female was hiding in the tree. So Kuno is so excited and like grabs her and hugs her, And he's like, this is amazing kind of thing. And then Nabiki, in efforts to, I don't know, stir the pot or maybe to clue Kuno in. Is this a nice gesture? Is it because she likes to watch mayhem? I'm not really sure with Nabiki. She pours a hot kettle on top of Ranma female while Kuno is hugging her, right? So you would think Kuno would clue in. So this happens and Ranma tells Kuno to stop touching him, like get off basically, and like beats him up a bit to get him off. And then he walks away towards Nabiki. And Kuno, instead of like having this like aha moment, basically just turns to Ranma and is like, stop your tricks. And then Ranma and Nabiki are like, what? Like, what? Like, hello? Anybody home? Like, on the side of his skull kind of deal? Not literally, but like, what? Ridiculous. Oh, Kuno. Nabiki makes a bad situation worse by basically telling Kuno that Ranma female belongs to Ranma body and soul, implying something that technically is true, but not conveying it in the way that it's meant in actuality to Kuno, right? So Kuno takes it, of course, the wrong way, or the way that Nabiki intended, honestly, and he proceeds to go after Ranma. His brain literally explodes in a volcano of fury. Very cute animation here. And he proceeds to go after him. In this happening, they fight a little bit, and all the photos that Kuno bought from Nabiki fall out onto the ground. So then Ranma scoops them up, and they continue to fight. As they're fighting, Ranma kind of ends up falling and lands on his back, and Akane checks if he's okay. And when she goes over to check if he's okay, this scene happens also in the original anime. He's kind of upside down and she's kind of over him looking down, and she's like talking to him, and he basically goes, you know, that color of underwear doesn't really suit you. And she like kicks him off into the distance. It's very funny. What's also very cool about the anime and what happened later is there are video games that had certain moves from the anime in the video game. So they show a move that Kuno does in the video game, and they show a move that Ranma does in the video game. I actually play this video game. I'll have to, maybe I'll do a video at some point with that and show you guys like the game itself. It's actually really neat. So Ranma wins the fight with one of the moves from the video game, and it's like a multi-kick all over the body, and Kuno just kind of TKOs. And Ranma makes it seem like it was so easy to beat him. And then Akane's like, are you sure? And she goes over and flicks him, and when she flicks him, he proceeds to cry. I mean, granted, depending on what happened, like maybe he has a bruised rib, that really hurts, so I get it. But in the framing of the 80s, a man crying. Anyhow, we're not going to have that conversation. But yeah, it was cute. So while he's crying and he's hunched over, Akane sees something poking out of his back pocket. It's the photos. And she's really mad because the photos she sees initially are hers. And she's like, what is this? Da da da. And Ranma explains that Kuno had them and he scooped them up. And then Nabiki immediately is like, yeah, I've been making some extra money. Smiley face, all the cash. And Ranma's like, it's really not a big deal anyways. Your photos are boring. They have like half the sex appeal of my photos. And I was like, seriously? We then jump to Dr. Tofu's office, right? Because he always healed up Akane after a fight. So that's where Ranma goes. They imply that he was further beaten up after by it transitioning here, beaten up after by Akane. And when Dr. Tofu asks if Akane had anything to do with it, she has this like inner conflict of she really likes him, so she doesn't want to admit that she can be that way. And that's not really how Dr. Tofu sees her, because she puts on airs, really, like the softer side of herself only when they're around each other. And then Ranma's just like lying there, and he's like, girl with no sex appeal. And out of sheer instinct, she lifts the back half of the bed he's on. He flies off, and Dr. Tofu's kind of like shocked that she did that. And she's completely embarrassed, complete with teardrop on the back of the head, like stress drop. It's very cute. So while Dr. Tofu and Akane are talking about like the engagement and this and that, and he kind of, he says that he refers to them as children, and it kind of hurts her a little more in realizing that he really doesn't see her as anything but a child. And it's kind of sad and heartbreaking, and it's what it is to have a crush sometimes. So basically, as this is happening, Ranma's getting chiropractic adjustments. So if anybody has seen that before, sometimes it can look pretty crazy, like twisted and cracks and all the bits. And Ranma's like clearly not very good. Sorry, there's a fluff floating through the air. Clearly not very good at tolerating pain. So he's like making all these noises and these expressions. It's actually quite funny. And Dr. Tofu's unfazed because obviously he does this all the time. And Ranma's like, this really hurts. Like, what are you doing? And he's like, does it hurt now? And basically proves that all of it was with good reason. So, yay. He's a good doctor. So as Ranma and Akane go to leave, Dr. Tofu calls over Ranma. He's like, look, can we have a bit of a chat? They have a little bit of a chat. And then he kind of taps him on the butt and sends him off. Ranma and Akane are then walking down the back streets, and it's nighttime and the stars are quite beautiful, and what could be a romantic intimate time for the two of them, or like an opening of it, really shows that Ranma is kind of ignorant and a little bit selfish when it comes to what he just says freely to Akane. He basically says that she's too much of a tomboy to handle, just like, what? And then it hurts her feelings, so she just kind of snubs him. And he realizes, I don't know how he didn't realize it, that would hurt her feelings, because every time he mentions something like that, she gets offended, and she just kind of keeps turning away from him, turning away from him, turning away from him. And it's just kind of sad. But and then he does what he always does. He tries to make silly faces and make things okay. So then we see him tease her some more, and basically he's like, oh, see, now that you're all fired up, that's more typical of you, which is like, yeah, of course, you were annoying her, like, duh. And then she goes after him, swinging her school bag, and then you pan to Dr. Tofu, who's like, 1, 2, 3. And then Ranma collapses. It pans back to them, and he's on the floor. What you then realize is that the tap on the butt was actually like a move, and the move made his legs not work basically after temporarily. And then again, you see the beautiful night sky. Another thing in this show, like I keep mentioning, the really elegant, artistically stunning moments totally, for me, ties everything together. Because if there wasn't a juxtaposition with the fighting and the slapsticky, it wouldn't be as well rounded. So, of course, I'm biased. I love the show, but I think they did a really good job with this too. Akane offers to carry Ranma. Ranma then says basically that it's emasculating to a degree and he doesn't want it. And she's like, no problem, I'll fix this. And she goes and she grabs a hose, and then Ranma male goes to Ranma female, and then it's easier for Akane to carry it at the same time, remedies Ranma's silliness. The next day, the scene opens with Katsumi telling Ranma and Genma that breakfast is ready. They're fighting over the pond. They fall in. Panda, girl Ranma, right? So they get out of the pond. As a panda, Genma goes over and he starts eating. And he tells, with a sign, of course, because he can't talk as a panda, Ranma that he has a part-time job. So Ranma is basically not really thinking. He takes his shirt off and he's wringing out his shirt. Meanwhile, he's completely topless. So he's just doing that, thinking nothing of it. And I guess Genma's really thinking nothing of it either. And then Son walks around the corner brushing his teeth and just sees Ranma female topless and just like freaks out basically. And Akane runs over with a kettle, pours it on him, and basically tells him like, could you please execute some modesty? Because seriously, like, no. At breakfast, Akane and Ranma are sitting there, and Katsumi's like, oh, I have this book. Could you please give it back to Dr. Tofu? I borrowed it, and it's like a pressure points book. Akane doesn't really want to and asks if Katsumi can bring it herself. And then Rama says, like, oh, it'd be a great opportunity for you, basically implying that it'd be a way for her to see Dr. Tofu. And she gets really upset, basically, grabs him, drags him out of the house, drags him down the street, drags him past the lady with the water scoopy, and drags him past the gates of the front building of school and pins him against the wall. He's now a girl again because of the lady with the scoopy, of course. And she's like, what are you doing? Like, don't out me kind of conversation. And she pins her against the wall, grabs her shirt, and kind of opens her shirt a bit. So it's like a little chesty. And then behind her, all these guys are waiting there who would ordinarily fight her. And they're standing there kind of stoic. There's like an awkward pause, and you're like waiting to see what's going to happen. And the guy who's representing them basically takes a deep breath, and he says, we're going to respect the fact that you're engaged to Rama now, and we won't try and fight you anymore. And as he's saying it, he bursts into tears, and everybody behind him starts sobbing and like ugly cry. It was very cute. I thought it was really, really cute. Honestly, I don't know. Do I like boys who cry? Maybe. I don't know what to say. So Kuno appears, and basically he's saying that one of the reasons why this is happening is because they had heard that Rama had defeated Kuno, and he shows up like mummified, wrapped, like with bandages, and he's like, they have been very exaggerated, kind of deal, and that's not the case. And one of the guys who try and fight her is like, he was the strongest fighter in the school and also the biggest pervert. And Kuno obviously takes offense to this. Oh my, Kuno. So Rama pops out. Kuno sees her. She's in female mode. And she basically calls him a sore loser, implying that he did actually lose to Rama male. And he's just like completely taken that she's there. He like grabs her like hands and all the like ridiculousness, and then basically Rama female's like, hey, like Akane's watching, like what are you doing, like trying to get him to stop what he's doing. And then Akane totally leans into it, and she's just like, oh Kuno, if you're interested in her, I'll step aside. They're basically both trying to pass him off. It's actually really, really funny. Yeah. Silly. He then talks about how cute they both are, and that he can't back away from either of them, and that he loves them both, and he goes to lunge at them, and Akane punches him in the face at the exact same time that Rama female kicks him in the face, and it freezes in that slapsticky, pop-arty sort of way we all love so much. The boys are having gym class while the girls are having separate gym class, and some of the guys are like, hey, so you're engaged, so you must be like, whatever, creepy conversation, creeper, creep. And Rama's basically like, no, and they're like pushing, and then he's like, what is wrong with you, kind of attitude, like gag. And then it pans to Akane playing baseball with the girls, and like Rama sees Akane through the eyes of all the other guys all of a sudden, where like it's literally rose tinted and she sparkles a little and she's sweet and soft, probably because she's playing with girls and she keeps having that weird interaction with guys, so her guard is down. But yeah, it's nice to see that he sees that. Again, relationship by 1,000 cuts. So they keep bugging Rama. Rama's like, it really doesn't matter, like our relationship status, whatever it is, basically, that they're engaged, because she likes someone else. And before anything else can happen, Akane comes up to bat, hits the ball, and it takes out Rama. And then everybody's like, aren't you supposed to be like a Kempo master? Like, why didn't you dodge that? Yeah, distraction. Akane and Ranma are walking what appears to be home. They're actually going to Dr. Tofu's office because Ranma got hurt again. And Akane says that she apologized repeatedly and that he should actually respond. You know what I mean? Whatever, pride. So they get to the office and Dr. Tofu asks what happens, and he said a PE accident. Oh yes, and they bumped into Genma on the way there, Genma goes with them as a panda to the office, and an old school rotary phone rings. I remember rotary phones. My grandmother had a rotary phone, and I used to try and it was so hard for my little fingers. So much determination. But yeah, an old school rotary phone, just like the one my grandmother had. She also had a beige one. Rings, and then Genma picks it up, but as a panda, he can't talk, so. So Akane takes the phone from Genma and answers it. She kind of looks a little hesitant almost on the phone. And then she says that she has to leave. And then Ranma's like, where are you going? Like, you have some time with him. Like, why would you? And she pins him against the wall in the doorway. And she's like, look, he likes someone else. She's coming. I have to go. And he's like, oh. And then the slider door opens and it's the scoopy water old lady. And Ranma's like, oh, really? And she's like, no, of course not. And then it cuts to the implied answer where you hear somebody calling Katsumi's name. So what happens next is really, really great. This is stuff I loved on the original show when Katsumi and Dr. Tofu interact, and he, like Akane says, like it's self-evident that he likes her based on how he acts, because he just becomes like a total goof dolt, like doesn't know up from down, left from right. And she comes through. Oh, so they're talking, and Rama's there because of the ball hit to the face. Tofu jokes that you can tell by the stitches that it was her. Obviously, it's not true. And then she gets embarrassed because she reacts, revealing that it was her. And then Katsumi walks through the door. As Katsumi walks through the door, Dr. Tofu was holding Rama's neck and kind of right angled it. And then she's like, oh, I'm here to return your book. And then he addresses Rama, but he's addressing Genma. And then the same thing happens after with a skeleton. And he just keeps hurting him. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. He's all thumbs, like completely, yeah, just, it's very sweet. She also brings cookies, and he proceeds to eat the pan. Ridiculous. Katsumi tells Akane that, Dr. Tofu's so comical to watch. He's so funny. And Akane basically says, yeah, he's basically only like that when you're around. Like hinting at her sister that there's interest there. Then it cuts to Ranma and Akane are home. It's the evening. It's gorgeous. Sunset. Stoic, beautiful shots, the purples, the warmth of the light. And Rama, whose neck is still like, is kind of sneaking around to see how Akane's doing. And it's sad. She's in the backyard, kind of going over her feelings and like punching through some things and like getting out her feeling and crying. It's how she's dealing with it. And Ranma sees her there, and like, when he goes to approach, there's a lot of blue and purple tones, a lot of cool tones, a lot of modeling, like, sort of energy. And it reflects really well, and it's beautiful. And as you can see, it got me. So Rama kind of scoops underneath his head when she's, like, leaning over on the wall and, like, sad. And he's, of course, what he always does, is he's acting extra silly, and of course it infuriates her, and she punches him in the neck, and it kind of fixes his neck. And she asks if he would keep her company, as in, would you spar with me so I don't have to think about this? And it's very sweet that he does that. So they're in the dojo, and he's helping her work out her feelings, and she's saying that he has to actually fight, because if he doesn't actually fight, then it won't relieve her stress and how she's feeling. So that's what we're supposed to do. So let's do this. And he's like, aren't you sad or over or don't want to be angry all the time? Like, don't you want to move past that? And she was just like kind of pushing off the comment. And then he's like, because you're very cute when you smile. And she kind of throws her back, and that he takes this moment to do that like boop from the first episode where he won the battle as a girl, and she falls back and she's taken aback, and then he kind of like scurries away. And in the final shot, basically, or the final two, Akane obviously went and showered, and she heads up to her room with her hair up in her pajamas. And they show a shot of outside, and it's nighttime, and it's calm, and like implying the wind down of the day. Beautiful shot, by the way. And she's lying on her bed, and she's reflecting on what Ranma said about her being cute, and she smiles. And she's thinking about it, and she goes over to a reflective surface. I don't remember if it's a mirror or a photo, and like reflecting, and she smiles at herself, and Rama's being a creep, and he's like looking through the window, and he says something not nice, and then she like slaps him. And then it pans to the central living space where Genma's sitting there, and he was like, I thought your neck was fixed, because the neck is all like with a face slap. And that's the end of the episode. So the episode was really cute. I would definitely say one of my favorites. I really like Dr. Tofu. I really like the dynamic with him and Katsumi. I like that the whole thing in the morning with Akane was rectified, because that's too much just to go to school every day. Like, geez. I also like that they show more about Kuno and his ridiculous world that he lives in his mind. Some really beautiful art shots, some really good sentimental moments. You saw it, got me. And a lot more relationship building with Akane and Ranma. Even though neither one of them are my favorite characters on this show, you'll have to wait and see. Yeah, so it's the kind of thing, really good episode. I hope you guys really liked it as much as I did. I absolutely love the outro music, like so nice, and such a nice way to end an episode. So that's what I think. I hope you guys liked this episode, my episode. And if you like my channel, please share, comment, like, and subscribe. And if you love my channel, please head over to Patreon. It's got its own special things going on there. And yeah, I'll see you soon. Have a great day, have a great week, and bye.